In law, some secrets are buried deep, others hide in plain sight. This is the story of one such secret. In a respected law firm, clients trusted their lawyers with their most private pains and fears. But one lawyer, Arthur Vance, had a secret that would shatter that trust. Arthur was known for his sharp mind and calm courtroom presence, the go-to for messy divorces. One late night, a young associate named Ben searched for an old file in the archive room. The file was missing. Ben noticed a small, unmarked door he'd never seen open. Curiosity took over. He found a key, unlocked the door, and stepped inside. The room was lined with old, dark wood cabinets, nothing like the rest of the office. Ben opened a drawer, expecting legal documents. Instead, he found stacks of handwritten letters, tied with colored ribbons. These were love letters, passionate, hopeful, full of promises. Ben realized these were from old divorce cases, a secret collection. A chill ran down his spine. This wasn't part of any legal process. Another drawer, labeled Sorrow, held letters of apology, regret, and desperate pleas. Husbands begging for second chances, wives explaining why they had to leave. Arthur Vance wasn't just archiving evidence, he was curating a museum of broken hearts. Ben understood. This was a violation, not a quirk. The trust clients placed in the firm was built on the belief their secrets would be protected. But Arthur had turned their pain into a private collection. Ben closed the drawers, heart pounding. The secret was out. Nothing at the firm would ever be the same again. The discovery would force everyone to question what it means to trust a lawyer. How many stories were hidden in those cabinets? How many lives had been exposed, cataloged, and kept? Ben knew he couldn't ignore what he'd found. The line between professional duty and personal obsession had been crossed. The law firm's reputation and the privacy of countless clients hung in the balance. The secret room was no longer just Arthur's burden. It was a reckoning for the entire firm. The story of Arthur Vance was about to change everything, and it all started with a single unlocked door. What does a divorce lawyer really do? More than paperwork, they become the keeper of your most private details. You share financial records, messages, even your deepest secrets. Trust is the foundation. Attorney-client privilege means your secrets stay safe. Lawyers need honesty to defend you, but they must handle your information with care. Love letters, emails, private photos, these are evidence, not souvenirs. Lawyers must separate emotion from legal fact, treating your story as a case, not a curiosity. Strict rules require all evidence to be returned or destroyed after the case. The lawyer's role is temporary, a guide through turmoil, not a collector of your past. When the case ends, so should their hold on your private life. Anything else is a breach of trust. Your vulnerability deserves respect, not exploitation. The law is clear. Your secrets are not theirs to keep. A lawyer's duty is to protect, not possess. That's the line that must never be crossed. Back in the hidden room, Ben realized Arthur's collection was methodical, a library of human emotion. Cabinets labeled passion, betrayal, hope, and despair held letters from every stage of a relationship. Some were on fancy stationery, others scribbled on napkins or printed emails. Each bundle tagged with a case number and date, but organized by feeling. Arthur had created his own taxonomy of heartbreak. These weren't legal files, they were trophies, stories he couldn't let go. Ben's admiration for Arthur crumbled. This was a breach of ethics, not a harmless quirk. Reporting Arthur could end Ben's career, but staying silent felt worse. The clients had trusted the firm with their most vulnerable moments. They believed their secrets were safe, their letters returned or destroyed. Instead, their pain was cataloged, displayed like artifacts. The trust they'd placed in the firm was broken. Ben locked the room, knowing he had to act. The collection was more than a secret, it was a betrayal. The firm's reputation and the dignity of its clients depended on what Ben did next. The hidden room was a monument to broken trust. Ben faced a choice: protect himself or do what was right. The cost of silence was too high. The story was no longer just about Arthur. It was about every client who believed their pain was private. The reckoning had begun. Why do love letters matter in divorce? Sometimes they're crucial evidence. A letter can prove adultery, affect property division, or show a timeline of a relationship's rise and fall. Lawyers use them to build cases, but only as long as needed. Once a case ends, all original documents must be returned or destroyed. Keeping them is a violation, like a doctor keeping X-rays for fun. These rules protect privacy, allowing clients to move on. Arthur's collection crossed the line. He kept letters for himself, not for any legal reason. The cases were over, but he held on to the pain. He turned evidence into a personal treasure, betraying every client's trust. The law is clear. A client's past is not a lawyer's keepsake. Arthur's obsession was a breach, not a tribute. How does a respected lawyer become a collector of secrets? It starts small, a letter too moving to return. Arthur told himself it was a teaching tool, a reminder of a complex case. But soon, one letter became many. The collection grew. Reading them gave him a sense of connection, a feeling of control over chaos. He organized them by emotion, curating heartbreak like a historian. The act became addictive. He was no longer just a lawyer, but the keeper of private stories. This was a classic boundary crossed, serving his own needs, not his clients'. He justified it. No one was hurt, no one knew. But he was wrong. He violated trust, privacy, and dignity. The collection was not harmless nostalgia. It was exploitation. Arthur's secret world was built on the pain of others. He failed his clients and himself by turning their lives into his personal archive. The line between professional and personal had vanished. In seeking meaning, Arthur lost his way. The cost was the trust of everyone he served, and the damage could not be undone. When Arthur's secret was exposed, the fallout was immediate. The firm contacted every client whose letters were found. Imagine learning your most private words were kept as trophies. For many, it reopened old wounds. Betrayal, shame, and anger resurfaced. One man felt emotionally robbed. A woman felt exposed, her lowest moments reread for someone else's curiosity. The trust they'd placed in the legal system was shattered. The betrayal was personal and professional, a sacred contract broken. Arthur put his interests above his client's well-being. The discovery was a painful reminder. Even trusted systems can fail us. The damage went beyond legal cases. It was a wound to the heart. Clients deserved closure, not to be haunted by their past. The firm's reputation was in ruins. The story became a warning. Trust, once broken, is hard to restore. The cost of one man's obsession was paid by many. The lesson was clear. Privacy is sacred, and betrayal cuts deep. The scars would last long after the letters were gone. The fallout was swift. Arthur was suspended, investigated, and disbarred. His career ended, his reputation destroyed. The firm scrambled to regain trust. Public apologies, stricter policies, and rigorous ethics training followed. Every client document was now logged, scanned, and returned immediately. Arthur's story became a cautionary tale in legal ethics courses. It reminded lawyers, the client's trust is absolute, never to be bent or broken. The lesson was bigger than one man's failure. It was about the fragile nature of trust and the importance of ethical boundaries. When we're vulnerable, we trust professionals to protect us. Arthur's story shows what happens when that trust is betrayed. Ethics aren't just rules, they're the guardrails that protect our dignity and our ability to heal. The line between professional and personal must always be clear, sharp, and respected.